BMAdawg here, and welcome to the fourth episode edition of the Beantown edition of IE Sports Radio, your direct feedball sports. Welcome everybody. Tonight, for the opener segment, we are going to start off in sunny Florida because the Sox spring training is starting to heat up, and we got named an opening day starter. Then we're going to go to the ladies section of March Madness, where BU representing Hockey East had their game last week, how they make out, and a surprise automatic bid with the Harvard woman lady Crimson. How are they going to do when they take on Michigan State next week? And then we're going to switch gears to the New England Revolution. Struggling, but how are they doing in their past few games? And then we're going to switch gears to some puck to talk about the new additions of the Boston Bruins, how they retools, are they ready to throw the white power as they haven't been playing well? Then we'll talk about Hockey East men's semis, as there's been an upset in the nation with the top-ranked team. What will happen in the TD Garden this weekend? And then we'll switch gears. The Patriots lost a long-time tenured center, but we gained a new one. Who was that? In your main eventer of the evening is your reigning, defending, 19-time world champion Boston Celtics. How have they been doing with the addition of Porzingis? Turn up the sound. It's time for the Beantown Sports Pound. Woo! Welcome, everybody, to our fourth episode of the Beantown Sports Pound. And before we start things off, I would like to thank everybody and congratulate everyone for a happy St. Paddy's Day. No one down the street puked in the Charles River, so everyone had a great time. In other words, happy belated St. Paddy's Day to everyone watching and IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports. We have a stacked edition. As we know, March Madness is approaching this week with college basketball. Unfortunately, none of the men's teams have represented Beantown, but we do have one women's team. But before we get to that, we're going to start off with some Red Sox spring training, and they have named an opening day starter. And how are the Sox batters looking? Then we're going to the ladies' March Madness, as your Harvard Crimson has won the Ivy League championship, led by a senior sensation. How are they going to fare this weekend? And you also have the BU Lady Terriers after starting off the opener last week with some Hockey East women. They're representing the lone Massachusetts team in the NCAA hockey tournament. How did they do against Clarkson? And then we're going to talk some Rebs action. And then the Boston Bruins. Some of these new guys are looking so good, but the trade deadline hangover is over. And unfortunately, we are on a cold losing streak. And then we're going to go to the Hockey East semifinals as BC, BU, and Northeastern. 2 out of those 3 were playing each other, including an upset in the making. And then we're going to go talk some Patriots as we lost a longtime tenured player, similar to how the main event of last week's show was Brad Marchand. And how did he end up with David Andrews leaving? We lost a guy who played for Brady and Belichick, but we got a new addition. We'll get to that later. In your main eventer of the evening, it wouldn't be fitting for our St. Paddy's episode if it wasn't your reigning, defending world champion Boston Celtics, as Porzingis is back, baby, and he's healthier than ever, and they've been on a roll, and we are going to close the show tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. Once again, I'm your host, BMAdawg, and we'll get into some cutting action after a word for our wonderful sponsors.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, folks, I would like to thank all of our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Vital Apparel, and Seal the Deal Wax Seal, and of course, your direct feed for all sports, our platform, Larry and IE Sports Radio. But we also have one more sponsor before we start tonight. Meet our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements at GetRawNutrition.com. Use promo code IESR for 10% off. That's right, folks. We in Boston don't pronounce our R's, and I'll keep repeating myself. And you can follow me at my professional page at Beantown_IESR and my personal page if you want to keep up with all my crazy stuff. I am going to post more this week at BMAdawg 617, our area code. And we are going to start to have a supporters club. Here is the link down below, speaker.com/podcast/ the Beantown Sports Pound. And anybody, if you only for $5 a month, pretty soon you can donate to support us to help our company and our 30 other podcasters kick some butt and continue to stream our favorite regional shows and national shows as well. And don't forget, people, before we start today, I would like to thank you all for keep following me. We are on our 4th episode. I can't believe it. And I'd like to thank you all. And now for the opener segment of the evening. It is scheduled for one fall. And it is the Boston Red Sox in spring training. That is right, folks. We are barely over a week away. Well, it technically has started if you're a reigning defending Dodgers fan or Chicago Cubs fan, as they've been nationally televising game at 6 a.m. in the morning, our time, for the Tokyo series with the 2-game series between the Dodgers and Cubs. But we are focused on our team and who's going to chase the Dodgers to prevent them from going back-to-back this year. Could it be the Red Sox? They have a shot, but the past 4 years have been very disappointed in Boston, as we have not been able to come up with a playoff appearance since we played Alex Bregman's former team, the Houston Astros, in the 2021 ALCS, as we haven't been getting there since, as our owner has failed until this year. I'll give him credit to open up his big fat wallet and to spend money on our guys to support. We did lose Tyler O'Neill, as I said in episode 1, when we did lose some of our players too, but we got some new players, including breaking news. March 27th is your opening day at the Texas Rangers. Of our former pitcher Evaldi is representing that team, as they made it far a few years back. Garrett Crochet, the player we got from the Chicago White Sox, a former AL Comeback Player of the Year, has been named your opening day starter. That is some fantastic news, folks, as we have had a spring break game last week, the day after we went off the air for IE Sports Radio with our 3rd episode, where top 3 Red Sox prospects, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, and Christian Campbell, all 3 of them back-to-back, whammy, home runs against the Tampa Bay Rays to start it off. You're going to have a real hard time keeping them in Worcester for a long time, if they even make it down there. If we stay healthy or if we lose a guy, we're not going to panic that much anymore, because we got these 3 sensations. As you saw in my episode with our opener on episode 2, I explained how great prospect stats, how Christian Campbell's one of the top second base or shortstop prospect of the nation. Roman Anthony could be a great outfielder as well. And Roman, speaking of the guy, he had an overrated chant from the opposing Tampa Bay Rays fans down in Tampa, and he hit a home run at his second at bat. Oh boy, did they shut those people up so fast, as he had 3 home runs. And a big story this whole offseason has been Rafael Devers has finally returned to play after dealing with injury, but he hasn't been warming up well. And does he have a change of heart? Will Bregman be a third baseman? Will he be okay going to designated hitter if he has to? You can always rotate, but you also got another problem. Macho Man. Oh, yeah. Yoshida has been hitting pretty good in spring training, as he's going to have to make the DH if he plays this year. But Devers says he has no problem now playing DH if needed. But he has made his debut. One prospect update from back-to-back. There's been some games where all the players have gotten some good playing time. But you have David Sandlin, a top prospect, striking out 7 Minnesota Twins last week. That is pretty good. And in 4 games, Richard Fitz, who's trying to be the 4th or 5th starter for the Boston Red Sox, has pitched little over 10 innings and only gave up .84, less than 1 earned run a game, and struck out 13 batters and walked 4. And Garrett Crochet, until his last outing where he went 5 innings, which isn't bad, has yet to give up a run until that last game he played. But the starting pitcher that's kind of worried me is Tanner Hoke. He's had a decent season last year, but he gave up over 11 earned runs in 2 games played. But they had just made a little while ago, before we went on air, we had Josh Winikowski, Luis Guerrero, and Vaughn Grisham, who was trying to compete for the shortstop or second base position in case Trevor Story got hurt, has all got designated to minor leagues, freeing up roster for the opening day next week. As we say, Garrett Crochet continues to impress, inspiring spring training. And Jarren Duran finally has had a home run yesterday, which is good. He's getting warmed up, so you shouldn't panic over the slow start. You have Connor Wan doing well in catching, and you got Cedian Rafaela predicted to make the team, and you got Abreu coming back from injury, getting ready in the outfield, as he'll be leading our down lineup from our 7th to 8th to 9th lineup. But we're not going to get too much into our potential opening day lineup, but I will name our predicted 5-man rotation for the Boston Red Sox. Garrett Crochet, Walker Buehler, who we got from the Dodgers, who had a slow end to the regular season last year, but boy, did he make up for inspiring not only Dodger fans, but getting the last out against the New York Yankees to win the World Series. And you also have Tanner Hoke, as I mentioned, as your third guy. You got Richard Fitz, who I mentioned earlier has been doing really well, and Quinn Priester expected to lead the 5-man rotation starting next week for our opening day, with Brian Bello and Cooper Crawford starting the season on IR with injuries. But I'm not going to panic. They can take a little time as they want, because our bullpen has been the weak spot the past 2 seasons for the Boston Red Sox, as there are guys competing for our closer spot. Liam Hendricks, Adolis Chapman, who we got in free agency from the Angels, and Justin Sladen has been racing for the closer, but Chapman has been the lead out of those guys with 10 strikeouts and 4 walks allowed so far in his spring training appearance. And we are going to move on right now, folks. Yes, we are. We are going to move on to some March Madness. And it's our ladies' March Madness with BU hockey and Harvard basketball. That is right, folks. But before we get into that, I'm going to look into the comments section. Salute from Marcus LeGreat. He is our combat sports guy going over boxing and UFC. You can catch him, I think, on Saturdays. He does a great job. And we also have March Madness coming up with everyone filling their brackets. Unfortunately, our flagship college sports in the nation is college football and men's college basketball. Yes, New England, if you count, UConn is kind of on the border of New York and Boston. So even though they're a New England team, same as Bryan, they're not in our inner area. But we do have one team out of Northeastern, BC, BU, and Harvard to represent both men's and women's, and they are Harvard. But we got BU hockey making it to the NCAA tournament, as they have defeated Northeastern last week for an automatic bid in the women's NCAA tournament. But unfortunately, it was cut short, folks. The glass slipper was cut short as they lost 3-1 to Clarkson. BU was 23-11-2, but they were ranked 13th in the nation in NCAA play. The Lady Terriers defeated Northeastern in overtime. All the hockey's playoff game to BC and Northeastern were in sudden death overtime to clinch a berth in the NCAA tourney, and they won 3-2 in overtime against Northeastern, but unfortunately they fell short of the Clarkson Bulldogs. Well, college hockey is big in Massachusetts. A lot of people don't realize, but that's when I'm here to get the spotlight. I will talk about the men's later. But you got the Big Ten women's dominating for the past 10 years. The past 4 years, it's either been Ohio State or Wisconsin representing the Big Ten and winning the NCAA Women's Champion. The Lady Terriers were outshot 30-18 with Lindsay Bushina getting the lone goal with under 5 minutes to make the score 2-1 against Clarkson. But that's all she wrote as they surrendered an empty net goal. And what cost this team? They played really well in the second and third period, but they got outshot 13-3 in the first period when Clarkson scored their 2 goals. And unfortunately, that's all they wrote. As we are going to move on to our next subject, I am kind of disappointed the ladies didn't get as far in hockey, but we're going to make up for it for basketball. I can't wait to cover more in-depth next winter for hockey and basketball with our Common 4 colleges. And we are going to move on to some Harvard women's basketball, who won their Ivy League championship by defeating both Princeton in the semifinals and Columbia in the Ivy League finals by 3 points in both games. And they are led by their senior sensation, Harmony Turner, who's been not only leading Harvard to an automatic berth, but they got as high as the 10th seed. And for the Ivy League, that is pretty amazing, because most of the times when the men's or the women's represent the Ivy League in the NCAA tournament, they are usually a 16th to 14th seed, or maybe some years they're 13th. But bravo, 10 seed, and they are going to face one of the most successful, consistent college programs. I know that men's is led by Tom Izzo, the Michigan State Spartans, but the Harvard women have been led by Coach Carrie Moore. They defeated Princeton 70-67 on Friday, and they were down as many as 13 points in the third quarter, folks. That is right. 13 points in the third quarter. And Harmony Turner has had 44 out of the Crimson, 70 points in that game. It was their first appearance in 18 years. And she got her 2,000 point with the Crimson in the semifinals and had all of Crimson's 3 points with 7. That's a Boston Celtic thing to do. You got a random guy for that team, who I'm going to explain in our main event later, always getting at least 6.3s a game. But you also have local sophomore Abigail Wright from Newton getting 7 rebounds and 8 points with 3 to 5 of shooting to help Turner have a record-breaking game and advance Harvard to the Ivy League finals. And in the Ivy League finals, they defeated Columbia 74-71 to advance. Columbia missed their 3-point shot at the end to grab the Lady Crimson their first NCAA March Madness tournament appearance in 18 years. And they won both games by 3 points to gain the 10th seed to face Michigan State. It is their first time in a while they made it. They're going to be played this Saturday at 4:30 in the Spokane region of the women's bracket. And they are going to play the winner of second-seeded North Carolina State. Or if there's double madness, that's going a little too far. We could have a New England semifinal with the Vermont Catamounts making the 15th seed. And don't forget, it is possible for them to beat Michigan State as long as Turner continues to be amazing and unbelievable. She's a senior and played all 4 years. And don't forget, the first ever 16th seed in March Madness history wasn't a men's team. It was your Harvard Crimson during their last appearance 18 years ago to make that upset. I am excited to see if they can keep the ball and run with it. But before we move on to our next subject, I am going to take a look at our comment section for the night. Taryn Rodriguez, our host of The SoCal Sports Report, covering all our Los Angeles teams, says he wasn't very happy about our Boston Celtics defeating the Lakers, but he has a World Series ring to show up for. And he's really good at covering volleyball, as he's an expert in high school, college, and semi-pro teams. He said, "Good evening, Brian. Hope you're having a great show." I hope I am too, and I think I'm gonna so far. As we move on to our next subject, everyone gets excited for March with St. Paddy's Day and March Madness, but we are going to move on. Before we take a commercial break, we are going to move on to talk about one of the teams in Gillette Stadium. It is going to be the New England Revolution. That is right, the New England Revolution we're going to be covering. We did miss last week because we had a lot of transactions to read at the main events at the end. There were a lot of deadlines with the Bruins and the Patriots last week, a lot of moves being made. So unfortunately, I couldn't cover them that much. But the comment thing is, Taryn Rodriguez wanted to remind me, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, absolutely. And he said, thank you very much. And Adam Karnick, who is our Chi-Town Weekly Chicago guy in IE Sports and does a phenomenal job with our Neutral Zone hockey program going through ladies and men's colleges and the NHL, says, "Good evening, Brian. Happy belated St. Paddy's Day, and a happy one too, as he on St. Paddy's Day got to have his show live. And thank you so much, Adam. I am sure I had a Guinness that night, as I saw in your comments. And a lot of people in New England obviously have it. As a fun fact, we have the biggest Irish population in the United States of America. But we are going to move on to the New England Revolution, as they are 0-3-1 to start the season. As the Philadelphia Union and the New York Football Club, they lost their homestand back-to-back 1-0 2 weeks before. And one of the top-ranked teams in the MLS Eastern Conference, the Philadelphia Union, 2-0. They also lost their first road game, but they scored a goal. The New York Football Club, 2-1, but at least they got a goal. They are, unfortunately, fans are getting frustrated with the coaching scheme of Caleb Porter. He is a really good defensive-minded coach, as he won an MLS Cup in the past with the Columbus Crew, who they lost to their home opener. And a lot of players are getting frustrated, as you can see, and all the fans are getting upset, thinking the Crafts don't care about the Revolution, which I don't think is true. But the college sports is very competitive, especially if they get big players from the English Premier League and international leagues playing, as the World Cup is coming to Gillette Stadium in a few years. Porter's record, dating back to when he took over in December 2023, has been 13-26-8 with the Revs. And they have around 14 new players that have been led by Captain Charles Gill, as he's been showing his frustration as he yet to score a goal this year so far. Goaltender Ivacic didn't have a terrible game in their home loss to the Union, as he had over 8 saves, which in soccer, the field is so big that it takes a while to get a shot on goal, but there's a lot of passing involved. The Union out-aerial duel the Revs 25-11, which made a huge difference to make the score closer than indicated, but the offense wasn't there, as they closed off the homestand with back-to-back scoreless losses. They went to New York to take on New York Football Club. They scored at Yankee Stadium. They scored a goal at the beginning of the game, the first goal of the season for the Revs. It makes sense because they outpassed New York Football Club 493-413, but it didn't matter because Fernandez, the midfielder of the New York team, scored the tying goal, and then in the 38 mark, and then shortly after intermission, Martinez, as New York Football Club, got the goal to make it 2-1 for the Revs, for the Revs to go to their bye week winless, but they have a perfect time for a bye week because there is room for improvement, because the veterans who they signed and the young guys who they've been called up from Revolution 2 can all get the chance. The weather's getting nicer in spring. The snow has already melted, as they have a chance to go over, get some offensive plays, and improve their corners and to get their frustrations off the limits, as they have their first few home games. They got by the toughest competition, which is pretty good. They only have 1 point, unfortunately, but next week they will have a bye week, so we won't be covering them, but we will cover them again 2 weeks from now. As we are going to take a quick commercial break, folks, don't go anywhere, as we have some puck talk after our first commercial break.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you with the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Are you a fan of Minnesota sports? Do you love the Vikings and hate the Packers? Are you a fan of the Timberwolves, Twins, Wild, Lynx, St. Paul Saints? Here on the Bold North Breakdown, we'll talk about all of those professional teams as well as all the college teams in the area. That's your basketball teams, football, hockey, volleyball, men's and women's sports alike. We talk about them all. You're on the Bold North Breakdown. Join me, your host, Glenn Ritter, every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central to discuss all that is happening in the Minnesota sports scene. Here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, folks, thank you very much for sticking with me through our commercial break. As we have a headliner first half of the show, we went over the Red Sox spring training so far. And breaking news, next week we are going to have the Sox opener coverage. We are going to have it on the topper half of the card since their season's starting, and maybe a main event in a few weeks. Who knows? But I am going to do a poll after this show. And before we do that, I want to remind you of my professional account at Beantown_IESR. Why, you may ask? Because for the first time ever since I started our Beantown Sports podcast, we are going to post a ComAv Spring Sport. I am going to do a poll for you guys. You can either choose, but for me to cover next week to recap our baseball and softball teams, or our ComAv Colleges lacrosse, like I have been with the basketball in episode 2 and the hockey last week on episode 3. You are going to have a choice, a voter's choice. That is right. We'll look at the comment section. Crooks Process says, what's good? Pretty good. I'm on the Beantown Sports Pound, and it's our belated St. Patty's Day. But we are going to talk some puck action. That is right, folks. Our Boston Bruins have been struggling lately. It is not good. It is unfortunate because right after we traded, obviously we lost Brad Marchand. Go back and watch the main event of episode 3. We recap the impact he had on the city of Boston and its fans. We also lost Charlie Coyle, Brandon Carlo, and many more faces. But we have been doing really good for the first 2 games after the trade deadline. As Adam Karnick from our Citation Sports Show and our hockey show has said, the Bruins are falling fast. Oh, I know. I am not happy. We have had a 9-year streak of making the postseason for the NHL, and that looks like it's in jeopardy. Yes, we're only 3 games out of a last wild card spot, as Ottawa and Montreal currently have the last appearances for the wild card spot. But the Bruins have been struggling. But new additions such as Casey Middlestat, who we got in, Nutrov, have been doing really well for the Bruins. Kuch has had 2 consecutive games with a goal since we went off the air last week. But with the black and gold struggling, the real question is, are they waving the white towel and surrendering and retooling for next year? I don't think so, but we do got an upcoming West Coast road trip, which isn't going to help anything. But before we get to that, how did we get to this point? Right after getting named Play of the Week last week, Jeremy Swayman faced the former hugging goaltender and dynamic duo Linus Ullmark, former Vezina winner with the Ottawa Senators, who is doing really well this year and is the top wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference. Ottawa came in winning their 5th straight of the regular season after they defeated the Bruins. Linus Ullmark got 22 saves, though the Bruins rebounded in the second period as they really struggled in the first, as Jeremy Swayman got yanked for Corpuscello after 4 goals. Geez, I give that guy Play of the Week. I thought he was going to earn his salary, but maybe next year. As highlight reel of the year, with young defenseman Mason Lohrei for the Boston Bruins, had a one-timer which looked like it was going to go in. But Linus Ullmark, in the tip of his stick, had deflected it, and that was the momentum changing. Drake Batherson scored 2 goals and an assist, getting 3 points of the night for the Ottawa Senators. 4 Nations standout, brother of Matthew Tkachuk, who's been destroying the Bruins with Florida over the years, Brady Tkachuk has had his point streak. He, like Brad Marchand, is an unrestricted free agent, extended to 7 games, including assisting in the power play goal to Batherson. Tim Steele has had his 203rd assist with the Ottawa Senators, surpassing former Red Wing and Senator Marian Hossa for the 10th in Senators history. The Bruins were outshot in that game 15-4, and that was a turning point, and that they haven't recovered since, as a few days later, they were home against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who they were winning 4-2 last week, right after the trade deadline. The Bruins showed some post-deadline shock when they played Tampa, with them getting 4 goals down in South Beach. Apparently, we missed a memo, as it turned out to be opposite day, with the Lightning striking on us in the city of Boston with a reverse route. But as bad as the stupid rotaries in our inner cities that we drive so fast in the state of Massachusetts, we don't just park our cars. We crashed way too much, and the rotaries are a big cause of that. But it started off with a wraparound goal from Victor Hedman of Tampa Bay. He scored 2 goals last week against the Tampa Bay Lightning, set up a sick one-timer circling around 3 Tampa D to make a huge swish pass to Elias Lindholm, who is the former Vancouver Canuck, with a speedy one-timer to tie things up. But bad forechecking from Pavel Saka, who got robbed most of the game when he tried to create so many assists to Tampa Bay Lightning, to Valinski to get a save rebound, and the pass all the way to get a score, 2nd goal of the game, and the momentum strike against the black and gold, with the Bolts not looking back, including Neutral's goal from plus-minus star defenseman, leader, veteran Ryan McDonough. The Bruins got outshot in that game 39-12, as we are losing critical guys of Charlie McAvoy, most likely not playing this year after getting hurt in the 4 Nations face-off, and losing our former plus-minus leader, Hampus Lindholm from the record-breaking season a few years back. He's been out a long time too, and we got rid of Carlos. So our defense is very young and inexperienced. We do have Wotherspoon and Laurie, but we do need to get tougher D and get better on the forecheck. So St. Patty's Day fell upon us as everyone was out drinking and selfie on Sunday. They hosted the Buffalo Sabres, the only team doing worse than us in our Atlantic division, with Florida, Toronto, and Tampa are the top three in our division. The Buffalo Sabres had been playing well against us, destroying us 7-2 the last time we played, including the hat tricks from their star players, Tage Thompson. This was 2 straight games. The Bruins were held to under 20 shots on home ice. Morgan Geekie got a goal. He was the only Bruins player who has been consistently well. Not named top 5 goal scorer David Pastrnak, who might be our next captain, but captain is vacant right now. He tied it up as 1 apiece after Zaka assisted Pasta. He finally got stuff worked, and Wotherspoon got an assist of that game. But it was all done when there was a penalty right in overtime, as Owen Power of the Buffalo Sabres has scored the game-tying goal, and he assisted in overtime, sending the Bees to lose in their third straight game and sending them off the West Coast going down. The Sabres went 2 for 4 for the power play, which made a huge difference, as Zadorov continued to be a goon, same as Matt Kalistinic, trying to get things right and getting into fights and energizing the crowd, but it hasn't been enough. But he did get into a fight against Jordan Greenway, but Kushanut tripping minor cost the Bruins in OT, as Alex Touch got the game-winning goal with 10 seconds left on OT. Before we move on to some Hockey East, our upcoming West Coast road trip is at Bruce Cassidy, our former Bruin coach, who I wish we still had, won a cup with Vegas, and Four Nations star and Mass native Jack Eichel, who represents the U.S., is a phenomenal center as he leads the Golden Knights with 80 points and 50 assists. The Knights are first in the Western Conference with 86 points, neck and neck with Leon Draisaitl and the current face of the NHL, Connor McDavid, only by 2 points against the Oilers. Aiden Hill has been a great goaltender with 24 wins and 11 losses, but we faced the bottom of the barrel, kind of a sandwich between 2 strong teams. To me, it's the San Jose Sharks a few days later. They are the worst in the Western Conference with 45 points. They no longer have our former guy, Joe Thornton and Pavelski, but they play the Los Angeles Kings, who currently have a playoff spot, 3rd place in the Pacific Division, and is led by Adrian Kempe with 28 goals and 55 points. They are led by loyal, longtime athlete who doesn't get the credit for what he deserves since the NHL resumed play in the 2006 season by Anze Kopitar, who's been leading the team with 37 assists and has won 2 cups. They have a breakout goaltender, top 2 in the league in GAA goals against average, with 2.16 goals or less per game, and it's going to be tough for the Bruins. And second in save percentage as well, which will provide challenges for the Bruins. But unfortunately, the Bruins are not looking good right now, and we have 2 games more than everybody. Before we move on, Adam Karnick said the save by Ottawa was unreal. Absolutely. Linus Ullmark is a great regular season goalie, but unfortunately we had to trade him to keep Swayman, and Swayman held off in training camp. I don't think it would have made a huge difference this year, as there were dramas with the locker room causing a lot of these trades to happen. And we are going to move on to some more puck action, but I'm going to keep the banner, the black and gold banner, since Hockey East has a bluer color, but we don't have that on our codes. So we are going to go to the Hockey East tourney, since we are now at the TD Garden stage this Thursday night with BC, BU, and Northeastern. The Hockey East semis are underway with 3-seeded BU advancing in overtime against the UMass Minutemen. An upset of the century, number 9-seeded Northeastern Huskies stunned number 1 ranked Boston College Eagles to advance to the TD Garden semis this Thursday as BU plays UConn in the early game, and Northeastern plays the top remaining number 2 ranked Maine Black Bears, number 2 ranked in Hockey East, And we are going to recap some of these games now. But first, BU played early against the UMass Minutemen. BU Terriers defeated the Minutemen to advance to the Hockey East semifinals. The BU team scored the first goal by having a missed one-timer by Cole Iserman, and then Shane Lacanis wrapped around the UMass Met to score a rebound and get their first goal. One of the star players for UMass is Cole O'Hara, who's been named Hockey East, one of the Hockey East Players of the Year, as well as plenty as BU and BC. He had a nice assist to get a driving Jack Musa to score. The game was tied at 1 apiece, and Jack Hughes, who's been phenomenal for BU all year, made a sick pass to BMAdawg to give the Terriers a 2-1 lead. Give credit to the BU goalie making a difference in the game, as he saved 36 out of 38 shots, including UMass in the third period, which they probably should have won, but were outshot in BU 19-9 in the third period of play. Andir Tsarnaev was the forward who got the game-tying goal on BU as the game was tied at 2 apiece going into overtime. But freshman sensation Cole Iserman scored with less than 3 minutes into the overtime to give the Terriers a ticket to the TD Garden this Thursday night in the Hockey East semifinals as they take on the Yukon Husky. Jesus, this guy is only a freshman, and he has had 3 consecutive games with a goal. BU has made it for the third year in a row with their 28th career appearance, and with his assist Ryan Green was one of the very few Terriers who's got his 100th point of the season as they take on Yukon this Thursday. And now for the nightcap between two of our combat teams, our top-ranked, number 1 ranked Boston College Eagles facing on the number 9 seeded Northeastern Huskies. Before Saturday, no number 9 seed has advanced to the finals in the Hockey East. Was it now? Northeastern upset Merrimack last week in the Hockey East quarterfinals with BU, and BC had a bye with Maine 3-2. At the beginning of the game, BC outshot Northeastern 13-7 in the first period, which was tied, which kind of shocked. But the shock of the night happened when Northeastern, within 5 minutes at the end of the second period, scored not once, but twice, with junior Cam Long getting his 17th goal of the season and Joe Connor getting his 7th, as BC got down 2-0 to end the second period and most of the third period. But they were down 2-0 in the under 5 minutes left the game, where they pulled the goaltender Jacob Fowler, and BC got their first goal. Are they going to tie it up now when Ryan McGuire hit an empty net goal to seal the deal, just like our sponsor here at IE Sports Radio, by the way? Cameron Whithead, a sophomore for Northeastern, was outstanding after Northeastern got an empty net goal. They stunned the world 3-1 and advanced to the Hockey semis to face the Maine Black Bears. 30 shots, and he only gave up 1 goal. Jacob Flower had a bad end of the second period, but he's been one of the top goaltenders all year. And BC does get an automatic bid to the Hockey semifinals as this Thursday, tomorrow, 3-seeded BU faces Yukon at 4 o'clock, while 9th-seeded Northeastern takes on the 2nd-seeded Maine Black Bears at 7:30. And whoever wins plays each other this Saturday in the Hockey East Finals, and a chance for an automatic bid in the NCAA Frozen Four tournament. I'll be honest with you, I'm confident BU and Cole Iserman can get through and beat Yukon, but I don't think Northeastern has a chance. You never know, but they might be hung over and get over concentrated, as Maine has a great offense, as I think we'll see a BU Maine Hockey's fine. I am hoping for just like repeating of the opposite gender of BC Northeastern. I hope we have BU and Northeastern this Saturday. That would be cool if we got, not only potentially, we are automatically going to get one in the NCAA for March Madness. We could get 2 with BU, Northeastern upset. There's also local Waltham College, Bentley College, playing Sacred Heart in the Atlantic Hockey Finals. You could be 4. We will cover Bentley if they win this Saturday against Sacred Heart. And that is amazing, folks. We got a lot of good hockey going. Will we lose professional teams in basketball? We do make up for it with our hockey programs, which is very underrated. We don't get the coverage because they're positive in our Boston sports media, whether it's WEI or 98.5 The Sports Hub. I love listening to them, but they all are too busy complaining about the Patriots to look at some potential colleges that could use the buzz. They're not just partying. Maybe on St. Patty's Day. Who doesn't drink so much in the city of Boston on St. Patty's Day? But before we move on to our main event, the segment of the evening, we got some Patriots talk. That is right, folks. Just like I said last week when we lost Brad Marchand to the Florida Panthers, we also lost a local New England legend that was a centerpiece, an underrated centerpiece for the Tom Brady and Bill Belichick era in the 2015 season. We did lose one of our best players, unfortunately, David Andrews, as NFL free agency hit up. We signed Matt Collins. We also signed Morgan Moses as our right tackle. And we are going to have a lot to talk about today, folks. That is right. We are going to talk about the New England Patriots today as they moved on from longtime tenured center David Andrews last week. They recently got his replacement a week later, center Garrett Bradbury from the Minnesota Vikings, to take over the retooled Josh McDaniels type West Coast offense. We still need our wide receiver one as we are a month away from the draft. What are we going to do? And of course, we're going to have some breaking news every step of the way, folks. We are going to cover the draft. We are going to make predictions, but I want to talk about longtime center David Andrews being cut from the Patriots after 9 seasons with the team. He was the longest tenure for over 1 day at the city of Boston, with Matthew Slater retiring from the Patriots. Well, he won 2 Super Bowls with us in the New England Patriots. But they recently signed his replacement, Garrett Bradbury, a few days ago from the Minnesota Vikings, because he signed a $12 million year for 2 years, $3.8 million guaranteed. This is a good replacement. Of course, Andrews did get injured last year against the dreadful 2024 NFC champion San Francisco 49ers. They may have lost CMC as well as a lot of fantasy teams when they drafted him number 1 last year. We may have lost, but we got destroyed that game, including, whether we realized it or not, our longest tenured Patriot took the last snap he ever took in the North Cal sports area. As speaking of them, they had a show earlier. Check it out. It is a great show, but I'm excited for this. Yeah, we got Morgan Moses. We got former first-round pick coming back from injury, Cole Strange, who can play left tackle. We really need to strengthen the offensive line because Drake May needs protection. He had such a great rookie season. Of course, Jaden Daniels was phenomenal, taking the Washington Commanders all the way to the NFC title game, getting destroyed by the reigning defending world champion Philadelphia Eagles. But I like this move because, face it, if Kirk Cousins can go to Atlanta and get way, way too much money to get benched for Penix later, last few games of the season for the Falcons, who love to blow leads, but he also had Dalvin Cook to protect. He protected Aaron Jones last year, and they got a few trades for Jordan Mason and the Vikings. Of course, he didn't play for them. But look at the fantasy stats that Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and the amazing, one of the best receivers in all of football, Justin Jefferson, was able to do due to his consistent. He barely fumbled, as the Vikings 2 of the 3 years have made it far with the wins, getting 13 wins in that tough NFC North division with Detroit taking over. And loving Green Bay, getting better in the Chicago Bears, who had Caleb Williams, always win these off seasons, but they can't get over their NFC North rivals. As I am looking forward to this because we got a long way to go. The Bills, Josh Allen got a lot of money, but he restructured to be able to get weapons for the Buffalo Bills. You have the Miami Dolphins, Tua, if he stays healthy, throwing at Tyreek Hill and Jaden Waddle and Devin Achane. And the Patriots need to get better offensively. It starts with the line. Yes, I wish we got Cooper Kupp. We could have paid $15 million for him. Kraft has the money, spent it on a lighthouse. Yes, I want Brandon Ayuk, but I don't want to give up so much for him. We got 2 receivers, obviously the great Heisman winner Travis Hunter, but we also have We also have Ted McMillan from Arizona as well. And we look on the comments. Adam Karnick has said, what would you say is the Patriots' number one need on the roster? Yes, an offensive line. But if you look at your fantasy scores, it is our wide receiver. We do not have that one receiver to go deep. Yes, we have Kendrick Bourne, who did really well in Mac Jones' rookie year with Josh McDaniels. We also have a great guy in Kayshon Boutte and Pop Douglas. But Pop Douglas has shown some stride this year for Drake May, getting some targets. I would love for him to stay and be a wide receiver 2 or 3. But I do want him to get some kind of receiver. As you look in these fantasy teams, Cooper Kupp went to Seattle because Puka Nacua has emerged. Ladd McConkey scored 2 touchdowns against the Patriots. He's emerged as a wideout for the Chargers. You also have a bunch of guys. Look at your drafts with your friends in fantasy football. At least 6 of those picks belong to wide receivers, as a deep wideout makes a huge difference with a great quarterback. We got our quarterback. We got Drake May. If he was in this draft, he would have a top-ranked of the quarterbacks, because Shedeur Sanders is great for Colorado, but Cam Ward from Miami, I don't know if they're it. But luckily, we don't have that issues. Please go to Minnesota and fulfill the prophecy, Aaron Rodgers. Don't go to the Browns or the Giants, please. Come on, you need quarterbacks, top 3 teams. You really need some quarterbacks. And I'm happy to help out with that, as well as many of our New England fans. But we are going to move on to our main event, the segment of the evening, after our last commercial break. Thank you all for tuning in, as we have our belated St. Paddy's Day edition. And what a better main eventer than our reigning, defending Boston Celtics. Let's enjoy this commercial break. And then we got Play of the Week.
What's good, sports fans? It's your boy Aaron Yell, and if you are looking for sports takes that live a mile above the rest, look no further than Mile High Musings here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Want to talk about NBA, MVPs, and champions? Yeah, that's us. Perhaps a baseball team that no matter how they play, you just can't quit them? Yep, we've got that too. What about Stanley Cups, NHL award winners in the burgundy and blue? You got it. How about Buffaloes that run, pass, shoot, dunk? You bet. For all things Colorado sports, look no further than right here every Sunday at 10 Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Mountain, and 7 Pacific. Because if that light is red and the kids are in bed, you are listening to Mile High Musings, where we praise the Lord and cheer for them Denver Broncos. Stay good, sports fans.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
All right, folks, I'd like to thank you guys before we move on to our last main event segment of the evening. I would like to thank you guys for tuning in with me. I know we have a lot of shows on IE Sports Radio on Wednesdays. They are really good shows. I am excited to keep on going. I've gotten through, after tonight, 4 episodes, and we are just getting started. And our segment, for the first time ever, we are going to have a vote on our live X accounts, the Beantown Sports Pound, Beantown_IESR. We are going to have that tonight, as I'm your host, BMAdawg. Starting tonight, we are going to have a vote. Would you like me to cover the ComAv baseball or softball programs, or would you like me to cover the lacrosse programs? I am giving you guys a choice next week, as I am going to think of perks for our supporters club as well. I got some creative ideas. And next week, we're going to talk about not only the Celtics, as both the Bruins and Celtics have West Coast. We have Red Sox opening baseball starting next week, as all 28 other MLB teams open next Thursday. We will be down in Southern Texas against the Rangers. Not the Cowboys, who choke every year in the playoffs, but we got the Rangers. Nathan Eovaldi maybe starting against us. It is going to be awesome. I am so excited. We're going to cover our Who Making Hockey East going to represent our NCAA Frozen Four tournament. How are the finals at the TD Garden going to go? And now it's time for your belated St. Paddy's Day main event segment of the evening. And why not the most appropriate with your reigning, defending 2024 world champion Boston Celtics. That is right, folks. Porzingis has came back, and not only do we shoot threes so good, we have a guy who can drive in and slam dunk over a bunch of people. As your Boston Celtics are looking hot as ever, flaming right after yourself. When you have a few Guinnesses in the bars of Boston, you feel you can do anything, only the crash, but not the Celtics. They have the luck of the Irish keeps them going, as they are looking hot, even though we've had our top 2 guys dealing with injuries, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. We got Porzingis back from an illness and killing the teams with our 3-point dominance. Can we keep guys healthy down the stretch, as our schedule is looking easy? We already played the top West teams and Josiah and the Nuggets. We also played the Cavaliers. We all played them. We have dominated. I don't know if we lost a single game over Atlantic Division rivals. We also played the LA Lakers, where LeBron James hurt himself. Oh, yeah, he's complaining against Jason Tatum. But you don't see those guys getting upset on my team for getting injured. It's part of life. Guys have been stepping up. As Bill Belichick said, next man up, do your job in the past in New England. I think Missoula has that same mentality for the Bruins. For the Celtics, as they've been killing it the past 3 games, including back-to-back games against Atlantic Division rival. But we start off in Sunny Beach, where the Celtics beat the Miami Heat, who they played each other in the postseason 2 years in a row, including coming back from a 3-0 lead, only to lose in a heartbreaking Game 7 2 years ago. The Celtics won 193-91, dominating in the rebounds and finally finishing strong in the fourth quarter, which they have been struggling even in games when they won the past few weeks. They are 3-0 versus the Heat this year, and the Heat have already waved the white towel as they traded star player Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors to play with Kerr and Stephen Curry, as they've been doing red hot in the no-cow state with the Golden State Warriors. Drew Holiday has been back for the Celtics, and he had a Celtic high 25 points in that game. Derek White also stepped up in the fourth quarter, getting 12 of his points, and he got a Comcast Sportsnet or New England Sports NBC Boston Tommy Award for the late, great Tommy Heinsohn. I miss that guy, and Lou Gorman calling games. They were the best. There was no other great tandem like them on the local scale. Andrew Wiggins led the Heat with 23 points, and Tyler Hero led the Heat in assists with 6. Porzingis had a comeback of the century after missing 5 games. He had 24 points in his return. It was considered a trap game for the C's after finishing a strong fourth quarter, as they barely defeated the Brooklyn Nets 115-13. Peyton Pritchard set a record for his 219th three-pointer off the bench, and in over 10 games left to go. It's an NBA record. These guys are breaking records, whether it's Tatum, Derek White, Sam Hauser, getting at least 6 threes a game. Somebody's getting it when someone struggles. The next man picks themselves back up. We got one of the best benches in our NBA with Peyton Pritchard. He's our 6th-man nominee, and he should win that award. There's something wrong with people if he doesn't. As late in the second quarter, Porzingis was aiming for Hauser, but he got intercepted for Keon Johnson and made a slam dunk, which looks like the Nets was going to come back to beat us. But Porzingis welcomed them back and plowed through not 1, not 2, but 3 defenders to slam dunk. The reason this game was very close was because Coach Mazzulla decided to give Derek White and Al Horford a day off to rest. And Jaylen Brown left the game, and he hasn't been back to play for the Celtics since in the second half on Saturday due to a back injury. Luke Cornett stepped up with 8 rebounds on the bench, with most of it in the second half. Tatum had 20 points in the game and only went 1 for 7 in 3-point shot attempts. Cameron Johnson of the Nets have led the team in points this year. He single-handedly nearly defeated the Celtics with having the double-double with 23 points and 10 rebounds. But his turnovers in the end benefited us, and D'Angelo Russell tried to come back to set up 8 assists to Johnson to help him design plays, but that didn't work out. Drew Holiday had his first double-double back with 11 points and 12 assists, even though he struggled shooting for the 2-point line. If Porzingis didn't come back, we did beat the Nets on Monday too. I think we would have lost one of those games because he's a guy who can plow through defenders, as the Celtics are really good at threes, but what if a team like the Oklahoma City Thunders, they last lost against SGA in the game? They're really good at defending the threes. They have to protect their greatest strength, could also be their greatest weakness. We'll find out in the postseason. But you got Porzingis to be able to drive to 2s and Drew Holiday back setting up points when Tatum and Brown can't do it. They won 8 straight at the Barclays Center and hadn't lost since 2021 when fans were allowed back in the arenas. But let's move on to Monday, shall we? Tatum and Brown were out, but holy cow, speaking of March Madness, his former alma mater, Duke, in the first round looked like a top 4 pick, like the Patriots have a top 4 pick in the NFL draft, but he was the last pick in the first round. Baylor Shearman had 6 3-pointers and scored most of his points in the fourth quarter. He had the player of the game and the Tommy Point Award Monday night. He was amazing. Even though Al Horford and Sam Hauser struggled in their game back on last night, Porzingis has been showing the C squad with Shearman what they've been missing, with him being able to drive by defenders so the squad doesn't have to rely on draining threes. Besides Tatum and Brown, he is one of the best players on the team. He was worth trading Marcus Smart for. I know it was controversial back then, but Brad Stevens deserves all the money he wants because he decided to sacrifice himself on the bench and go up to the front office and make all these amazing A-plus moves for this team. And one of the best players of the team at normal field goal attempt is Porzingis. As well, he had 3 blocks in the night to lead the team in block. Luke Cornett struggled at a -10 for the night, as much as all the Nets starters had struggled with the plus minus at -10. Drew Holiday did struggle on the 3-point line because he nearly had a second consecutive back-to-back double-double versus the Nets, but he did lead the team with 8 assists. Porzingis torched that whole team as Johnson, Claxton, Russell, and the other Johnson got a minus points of the evening as D'Angelo Russell had like over 13 3-point events. They're not the Celtics. They shouldn't be attempting it, but they suck for a reason, all these Atlantic teams, because we have beaten the Raptors. We have done well against the Joel Embiid-less Sixers. We have done well against a playoff team, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and the New York Knickerbockers, as they're going to be competing for a top playoff spot too. We may not catch the Cleveland Cavaliers for top ranked in the division. They are led by Donovan Mitchell and Garland. They have a great team and Evan Mobley to help them, as we had their loss against them a few weeks ago. Our upcoming games, they are on a West Coast trip. There won't be a lot of action at TD Garden within the next few weeks, which is weird because our February break ended weeks ago, and our April break is until Marathon Monday. They play the Danny Ainge leading Utah Jazz as he runs their front office. They play again the Portland Trail Blazers. And before we get on air next week, they play the once promising Sacramento Kings and to wrap up the first half of their 6-game West Coast road trip, as it is time. The Celtics look so good right now. But most importantly, we are almost done for the night, folks, as we have our player of the week to send you all home happy. It is a tough competition this week, as we have it will be, which is so obvious the way I've talked about him, is a Boston Celtic. That is right. Our player of the week is a Boston Celtic. And this is a tough competition because any of those 4 non-Tatum Brown guys would have gone it. But the problem is, since I gave my player of the week to the Bruins, who joins Jason Tatum, David Pastrnak, and Jeremy Swayman as a first-time player of the week recipient in our 4th episode, it is a 3.6-man potential winner, record-breaking 3-point man, Peyton Pritchard. And what a way to get my player of the week. I know games has struggled some games during this stretch, but the past few weeks I've kind of been ignoring him when he got his past 40-point game with Derek White as the first 2 teamers to get 2 duos to get over 40 points in a game in NBA history. He also broke a record yesterday against the Nets with over 210 games shooting it off the bench. As congratulations, Peyton Pritchard. Not only do you step up when Missoula and the Beantown fans need you, as I hope you guys enjoyed our St. Patty's Day edition, folks. And it is time to end our show tonight. Thank you so much, folks. We'll have an episode next week. How will the Bruins and Celtics fare on their road trip? Will the Patriots make any more moves? What will win our Beantown Sports Pound poll for Carmel College Challenge? Will it be lacrosse? Will it be baseball or softball? How are the hockey teams going to do in the Frozen Four in the TD Garden Hockey East Finals this week? Will the Red Sox be ready to go? Find out next week on your Beantown Sports Pound, part of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all sports. Woo! BMAdawg signing off.